We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
Throws toward the corner of the end zone. It is intercepted! Intercepted! The Ducks have the ball!
To the end zone! Oregon! Mariota dives! Touchdown! They hand it off straight out! C.J. Verdell wins the game for Oregon!
Inside the 10! A hat-trick, a touchdown from Justin Herbert! Howard's going to run for it. Time runs out, and that'll do it! Welcome to the Big Ten, Oregon! They storm the field at Altman!
All right, Duck fans, here we go. Welcome to another episode of the Ducks Rising podcast, sponsored by Backer and Water Ave Coffee. My name is Zachary Neal, my co-host Travis Rookley, and today we are joined by our good friend Jeff Schwartz. Jeff, been a long time, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, you know. I'm not doing as good as one college thinks their social media team is doing, but I'm doing good in the sense that I'm ready for football to begin. We have spring practice for like 6 weeks or something for Oregon too, so it's a long spring practice, but looking forward to the upcoming season.
Absolutely. We're going to jump into some news on that certain college football team you're talking about. But first, Travis, how you doing?
Good, man. Enjoying a little spring break, spending it out in Austin where it's already basically 100 degrees every day. So slowly acclimating to that, but life's good.
That's good. All right, well, we're going to have some fun today. We are going to dive into the Big Ten over-unders, which were released, I think, last week on FanDuel and BetMGM, kind of around there. So they're out floating. It's going to give us a good look at, how we think this conference is going to stack up, who we think is going to be good, who probably might not be very good, who's going to go over their win total or under. So that'll be a fun kind of early just look at the landscape of the Big Ten. Before that, though, I think there's a couple things to talk about. Let's start with, do you want to start with that team or do you want to start with basketball? Where do you guys want to go?
No one's gonna like my basketball take, I don't think. So we could anger people now or do it later. It's up to you guys.
All right,
Let's
go hoops. Yeah. Okay. So before we get to the football, there's just been a lot of, obviously it's March Madness. The men's basketball program is the topic of conversation right now in Eugene. Jackson Shellstad, Kwame Evans Jr. both transfer out. That's tough. It's understandable from their point. Like, these kids want to win, and they're good enough to play in the NBA. They want to be in a winning program. Now people want Dana Altman gone because of it and because of where this program is. It's tough. I've got a certain opinion. I know Jeff has thoughts. Travis has thoughts. Jeff, what do you think about it? Where do you think this program should go?
So here's what it seems like this sport has become. Right now, there are some exceptions to this with what Rick Pitino is doing and Calvin Sampson has been doing, but it does feel like young, energetic coach is like the way to reboot a program, right? And we get to a certain point when the new way of college basketball and really all college sports, if you're not adapted to that, you're just not going to win, right? And Dana Altman is a Hall of Fame coach, best we've ever had. He deserves all his credit. But I think it feels like the program in sort of college basketball is not at his peak anymore, right? I see highlights. I saw there's some social media accounts that show like on this day, right? There's sports accounts, and one of them showed the 2017 Final Four team, and you look at that roster, you're like, unbelievable roster. Where's that roster now, right? Just from a basic roster building perspective, where's that roster at now? And we're just stuck in the past. Like this, it's the same stuff that I mock other teams for, is what Oregon fans are doing now, right? Well, we Sweet 16 5 years ago. 5 years ago now. It's the last time we made a Sweet 16. We have not been relevant at all in basketball on the Big Ten side at all. And really, to be fair, no one really has, except UCLA, of the new teams that went out to the Big Ten. Even UCLA has had trouble, and even Mick Cronin deserves some criticism for, I think, the way he's built his team. But I just think, it's just time. It's time to move on. It's okay to say that. I would do it earlier than later, right? Now, I don't know who the coach is. I mean, a guy like Ben McCollum would be a great type of hire for Oregon, I feel like. But I just think it's done. It's time. It's over, and it's okay to be over. I would wait. I would do it a year earlier than a year or two late. But where does the team go from here? It's not like we don't look. The one thing that frustrates me is this idea that they don't have money. They have enough money to not be 12. I know this year was bad with injuries, but it wasn't good before that. Okay, guys, let's be real. They have enough money to compete. Okay, they absolutely do. And do they have what they're paying at Louisville and Kentucky? No, but that's not what our program is anyway. So I just think that we have enough money to compete at a decent level. And it's just time. It's just time. And I don't think that's a controversial take, but Oregon fans do not like it.
Travis, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm conflicted because I love Dana and I've always loved him. I love the success he's had February, March. I love just the type of coach he is and just the kind of, things he instills generally or things I resonate with. I think clearly the roster evaluation and talent acquisition piece has been a struggle recently. I mean, and that's where Dana was so ahead of the game when it came to early on at Oregon, was using the transfer portal, using junior college. Like that was Dana's jam early on. I think he was ahead on that stuff, whereas now it's become commonplace. And I think he'd probably be the first to admit he hasn't pivoted and had a lot of success in doing that so far. I mean, the foundational pieces on the roster when it comes to Biddle and Evans and Shelstad are there. It's just we haven't been able to hit recently on any role pieces, ancillary pieces, guys like that to supplement the roster. So I don't know. I go back and forth. It resonates what Jeff said with me. I think I feel a lot of that. I worry what would be the next option. I don't think there's a slam dunk guy out there. I mean, Washington fans thought they had the next greatest thing in the world when they brought in Sprinkle 2 years ago, and they've spent tons and tons of money and haven't done anything. So, it's one of those situations where you're not sure the grass is always green on the other side. But I do think I think at a minimum there needs to be a push to reevaluate some offensive philosophical things, roster retention pieces and acquisition pieces. How are we going to go about that? I think at a very, very minimum, you got to do that.
I mean, my problem is and maybe I'm just, too soft-hearted. I don't know that you can fire him. I think I kind of do agree that I think he does need to go. I think this program needs a reboot. You need someone younger, more energetic. I just think that he's kind of earned the respect to have it be on his own terms when he wants to leave. If he wants to rebuild this program, if you're, the AD, I don't know that you can be the one to say, no, we're going to fire you and go in a different way. That's my side of things. I agree, if it were my choice, I would get someone in there new and just restart. But I don't know. I think it has to be Dana's choice.
But at what point, we have one more year where we go 17 and 16 and, we're the 11th seed in the Big Ten. What is the...
You say one more year, but this is the first time in 15 years they've won less than 20 games. So it's I know this was a bad year.
But we weren't that competitive in the Big Ten last year. The 20-game mark feels like it's with our non-conference scheduling and it just doesn't feel like that's quite the same as it used to be. And we're just very far away from competing, in my opinion, in the Big Ten, right? It's just not, we're just not close to doing that. 12-8 last year in the Big Ten. I mean, okay. But I just don't know how close we are to actually being a top 4 seed in the conference. It feels like we're very far away.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we had used last year's trajectory and gone up, then you can make a pretty easy argument that things are back to a good place. I mean, I think there was kind of a clear drop off there the COVID years. I think 2023, you made a run in the tournament just to qualify and then got into the NCAAs. And then last year, I mean, you go 12-8, you are a possession away against Arizona from making the Sweet 16, and then you come into this year, and what's crazy is we were projected to be 5th in the conference in the preseason media poll. So, there was a clear idea that we would be competitive, but like I said, I mean, just the trajectory with the injuries and the supplemental pieces just weren't there. I think the thing that makes me a small bit optimistic is basketball is different than football in that you can just flip a roster in a year and be competitive. So we'll see what happens with Jackson and KJ. I don't expect them back, but it also wouldn't shock me beyond belief if one of them, kept the door open, depending on what we did with the roster. But you've seen teams just fully bring in 10 new guys and be competitive. So I don't think it's like football where unless you bring in a new coach, you're looking at just a 2 to 3 year rebuild automatically.
I think that's fair. Yeah. Jeff, you got any other thoughts on basketball before we move to football?
No, I mean, I hope I'm not right, but I'm gonna have a lot of tweets come next February, so we'll see how it goes.
That's fair. I mean, I know I'm too soft-hearted on this. I notoriously thought that they shouldn't fire Mark Helfrich when they did, and that was obviously the right decision. So I almost
brought that up as the parallel, but unfortunately, Helfrich and Dan Altman aren't even in the same realm as far as just quality of coach. So it's like it's not fair. But basically, the football program went 4-8, and they're like, enough of this. We're moving on. Helfrich had not built that equity. His teams got worse every year after Chip left, right? So like he was, 14 championship, it just got worse and worse and worse. And that year they also lost to Oregon State and Washington State. Like you just can't lose to all three of your area rivals and keep your job. That's not really what's happening in Oregon right now. I'll just say this: like his teams were built on two things, right? The successful teams, they had long and tall and athletic defenders, right? Like that's what he built on. And then he had always like the veteran point guard. It's hard to have the veteran point guard in the sport anymore, right? You have to work really hard to keep that guy on your team for a couple of years. And there are certainly places that have done it, but that just takes extra work. Like it takes extra work to keep the players you need to be successful. And other teams have done it, right? I mean, there are teams we'll talk the Sweet 16, like that have done that. They've done it, and Oregon has to be able to do that. If we get the guys that we need to win, those guys have to stay.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move to the gridiron. Yesterday, before we get to the Big Ten over-unders, should be interesting to just talk about what took place last night. 4-star cornerback Danny Lang committed to USC over Oregon. I think that was pretty expected when it happened. USC, their, I think, official football Twitter account, tweeted out a video of them spray painting a very nice piece of green grass, whatever their color of red is. And at the end it said, what did it say? The grass, I guess the grass wasn't greener. Travis, I know you have thoughts, so I'm just going to kind of clear out the lane and let you go.
It's just there's so many levels and routes you can take it. First of all, Danny Lang's a good player. Who knows if he'll be good in college. He's like the 110th ranked player in the country, like solid cornerback, tons of different guys we have on our board still. So I just think it's funny to do that for that player. I found humorous to start. Like this isn't, the 5-star number 1 player in California that they boast the best at, in whatever it is, the best in Cali, stay in Cali. It's just, they constantly talk about Oregon being the off-season headlines team, Oregon being the team that wins the off-season natties. UW and SC love to say that, and yet now we've seen 3 straight off-season that USC has so over-indexed on. Let's do everything we possibly can to be like your March winners and draw all the headlines in March and do everything you can in March. So there's that piece of it. The piece that relates to Oregon is I just can't see for the life of me why some staffer at USC would want to give Dan Lanning this piece of information. It just doesn't make sense to me when you haven't been relevant in 20 years. You got beat at Autzen handily last year. What gives you the confidence to do this? Lastly, one more thing. Who's it for, really? Like maybe Jeff or Zach or you have thoughts like, do recruits care about this? Is it just for their Twitter fans? Because I know real USC fans who were there for their real years, and they don't like Riley, and they hate shit like this. So I just don't get it.
To me, it's really odd coming from the official USC football account, right? Like it'd be different if it was a fan page or like a super fan, or even like a recruiting website like page. Like if Shotgun Spratling put this out there, I'd be like, okay, like you have a little fun with it, but like from the official football account to be so focused on Oregon like this, like it's weird, right? Like the one thing that I've said for a long time that I like about Oregon, and I've liked many things, but one thing is that I feel like we have focused for so long on 2 things, and it's really helped us out. One is ourselves, right? We focus on ourselves. 2 is the future, right? We're thinking ahead. And the programs that have struggled, that used to have success, think about the now and the past, right? That's all USC thinks about. Now and past, now and past, now and past. Nothing in the future, right? And that is Washington's the same. Oh, we won 37 years ago. Congratulations, man. Really, really important. I like that your quarterback was trying to leave and your coach wants to leave immediately. Oregon doesn't think like that, right? Like to do this from the official account is just odd. I just find the decision odd. It's an odd decision. And to act like Oregon isn't recruiting well still is very funny to me. We're going to have like 12 guys get drafted. And that doesn't include like the 7 guys that came back to school that would have been drafted in this class. So look, man, good for USC. The bill comes due, so what? September 27th. So, we'll see. You haven't done it in 10 years. Haven't beat Oregon since 2016, I don't think. Right? That's the last time they beat Oregon. And it was hell for. I think it was 2016.
2017, 2016. Oregon. One of those years.
So I good luck, man. I mean, you haven't beat us in 10 years. So, I wish you the best of luck this year. I don't feel like, 2016. Okay. And since it doesn't feel like it's going to happen anytime soon, but okay. I mean, I wish you the best. The thing about USC, we'll get into maybe the win total stuff. Like, I'm not sure their roster's like that much better from last year, and last year was a struggle against good teams. So, I don't know. I wish them the best of luck, man.
It feels like they're really expecting Maeva to take a giant leap forward for them to hit their expectations this year, and we'll get to that with the over-unders as we get to it. But when I saw the tweet last night, like, not gonna lie, I liked it. I found it just very entertaining, like from just a bird's eye view. I was like, okay, like, not a good idea, but I thought it was very entertaining, and I just, like Travis said, I just loved kind of picturing how this is going to morph into a Ducks vs. Them video in late September. Like, how is this going to be brought back up? Because it will at this point. So I'm here for the off-season controversy and shit talk between these two rivals and these two teams that absolutely hate each other. I thought it was fun. It added a little bit of spice to my Wednesday night that I was not expecting.
I think you just have to ask yourself, what other serious program in college football would do this? And the answer is probably only whatever team Lane is coaching.
I was just going to say LSU.
Like, really? I mean, it's LSU and USC. I can't think of any other. Could you imagine Georgia or Ohio State? You never in a million years would any of these other programs post something like that. Ohio State beats Michigan for a recruit, and they're going to do this? No way. So, like, it just reminds you how silly it is. There's all these SC fans on Twitter being like, oh, I love the trash talk, blah, blah. It's like, Oregon's not talking any trash. They did it in the Ducks vs. Them video after the game from the locker room. That's when they did it. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a lot of talking, man. Hope you can back it up. You haven't backed it up yet. The program hasn't backed it up yet. So here's your opportunity to back it up. Like, let's see you do it. We'll see early this season, right? So, okay. Good luck.
We'll see. It'll be a fun one. All right, let's get to our win total over-unders for the Big Ten. We've got them all again listed from FanDuel Sportsbook. Just going to go alphabetical down the list. I feel like that's easiest, and we'll just go one by one and kind of pick, give a little bit of analysis and pick why we think they're going over or under. Sound good to you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. And I know at least myself tried to, like, even these out a little bit.
I tried.
I think we did our best. I know some guys like to go through and pick every single game to make sure it evens out. But I've heard some other people do this, just kind of shout them out. But I know we did our best to kind of match them 9-9 over under.
Yep. Let's start with Illinois. The Fighting Illini, their number is set at 7.5. Travis, what do you think here?
Boy, this was honestly, you're starting off with my biggest debate I had noted down. Looking at their schedule, really soft schedule outside of Ohio State and Oregon. I don't know a whole ton about their quarterback, Caden Hauser. I think he's an ECU transfer there. I feel like Bielema's a solid coach, but their roster last year, I mean, they had a ton of vets. They, like, brought back everyone. They kind of did the Oregon-Ohio State plan to a lower level last year and brought back a ton of vets, and then most of those guys are out the door this year. So I went slight under at 7 wins.
They should have at least 2 wins in the non-conference slate. But they still have Ohio State, and Oregon, and Iowa. This whole exercise is about who you play, right? And so if you think that they're not going to win, now you're at 4 losses already, right? Maybe 5 losses, and then the margin of error is nothing, right? For a win. Now you're at 7-5 with no 50-50 games that you lose. So I would lean under here. Last year was supposed to be their big year, right? That was the year they were all in. They went under last year after an all-in season. So if anything, I just would lean under for Illinois. I'm going to pick a lot of unders, by the way. I'm not an over wagerer on these things. I would bet under or nothing here. It's a big price, minus 170, but I go under.
Yeah, I think that I agree with him going under too. I think the quarterback change, and then, like you said, those not many 50-50 games, and they play, Ohio State on the road. They got Oregon at home at least, but yeah, they have not, garnered the respect in my mind to be like, oh yeah, I think they can win these toss-up games or go over. So I think we will all go under there. Next one is a fun one. Indiana at 10.5. They got a new quarterback. Obviously defending national champions. Jeff, let's start with you. What do you think about Indiana?
Yeah, I mean, you have to go under or nothing, right? I mean, that's the only play to make here. It is a schedule that's still manageable, and 10 wins is certainly manageable. So is 11 here, but they lose a lot of older production, right, off their team, and guys that obviously the JMU guys that have been with Coach forever. And they do replace them with talented football players. They had a good job in the portal, but it all has to come together, right? And quickly. And I just don't think they're as good. They're not going to be as good. They're not going to have all the plays going their way the entire season, right? Think about all the games where, Iowa, right? They score late to win. Penn State, they score late to win. It's just not going to happen year over year like that. So I lead under more. I mean, 10-2 feels a very reasonable year for Indiana.
Travis?
Yeah, I've got them right. I debated it back and forth because I love SIG. No non-conference schedule. I mean, I was looking over it. It looks like their schedule basically comes down to Ohio State, SC, Michigan, and maybe at Washington. Those are the 4 possible losing games. So, I mean, if you say they lose to, Ohio State's at home, I think they can win all those games. So I think best bet is probably they go 3-1 or worst case 2-2. So I had them at slight under at 10-2, but I could easily see them going 11-1 with the schedule, especially if you don't believe in Washington and SC, which I know we all have our thoughts on them, then the schedule gets soft pretty quick.
I've got over. I think 11-1. Yeah, I think they can go 3-1 in those tough games. I don't trust Washington. We'll talk about Michigan when we get there. I think they've got high upside, but I don't know they'll be that team yet. And that game against Ohio State, which they get at home, right? Those are. And then, USC, that's also at home too. So I don't know. Like I said with Illinois, they hadn't earned that trust in my mind yet. I think Cignetti has. I think that he's kind of shown that he can win some games with, the team that he chooses that year through the portal. So I'm excited to see what Josh Hoover does in that system, regardless of what Sonny Dykes says about him. And I think
how crazy was that? That was
wild. It was an insane thing to say. But,
yeah.
I've got Indiana over. So you guys both have slight unders. I've got them over. Let's move on to Iowa at 7.5 over under.
I mean, all he does is win football games, right? That's all they do at Iowa. Their schedule's not terrible, right? Michigan, Ohio State, at Washington. That's about it. Like, as far as like really, really tough games at the moment. Of course, you always know a team will pop up here. Man, they went portal. They went portal again for quarterback, right? I believe
got three guys, one internal and two portal.
Their O line, they're replacing a bunch of their O line too, I believe. I don't know, man. I would 7.5 is so low for them. I mean, I'd be over or nothing else, I think, for them. I mean, their schedule, I mean, they losing to – the thing about Iowa is that it feels like every game is a 50-50 game, those are – you go 6-6 in those. But you look at – and they're going to be NIU, Northern Iowa. They're going to beat, with Northwestern, Purdue, probably Nebraska. I mean –
they'll beat Iowa State, too, without Campbell this year?
Probably, yes. I mean, I would go – I'd probably go over, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm there with you. I've got over, yeah.
I feel like you just don't need to know anything about Iowa, but they're going to find a way they're going to find a way to beat Nebraska, 17-15, and then they're going to find a way to beat at Michigan State in some rock fight, and before you know it, they're going to be 8-4.
Yeah, I was slightly worried about the quarterback situation just because I don't know anything about any of the guys they have. But we've seen in years past that just doesn't really matter for them at all. They're going to have, one of the best defenses in the conference. I know they replace a lot on the offensive line. They're still going to be really good there. Like, it's Iowa football. It's tried and true. I think they probably win 8 games. They go 8-4, and they make it to a decent bowl game again for the 25th straight year.
I feel like every other team, I worry about their quarterback, and then I think about Iowa. I'm like, if you can win 8 games with Gronowski, you couldn't throw the ball like 4 feet. Mm-hmm. I'm like, they just find
imagine if they actually had a good quarterback. They would have beaten us. Like they just don't have. Just like Interesting is like when you obviously the game we played them, we had all the injuries at wide receiver, so it's kind of hard to like really know what the offense could have been. But they sort of drag you into that game, right? Because you think to yourself, okay, because they can't score, we're going to punt a little bit more, right? We're going to be a little more conservative. Like we're going to take our foot off the gas because the last thing we want to do is have their defense score for them or in special teams. So you pull back yourself, right? If you go full speed ahead in Iowa, you might score 27, 30 points. You also might give up a pick six, right? So Iowa drags you into those games where, again, like we have to come back to win that game. Where like if you just sort of play aggressively all game, maybe you're not there, but you might give up a touchdown too. Like they drag you into that type of game. It's what they want to do. But if they had a quarterback at all, man, they win 10 games every year.
Yeah, completely agree. Maryland 4.5 over under. I've got the over here. It seems crazy to say I like Maryland. Well, I don't like him. I don't think they're going to be great in the conference. I like Malik Washington. I think that we've seen enough from him so far. I'm excited to see where he goes next, what that next step is for him. If this number was 6.5, I'd probably go under, but 4.5, I think it's low enough. They're non-conference. I mean, Virginia Tech against James Franklin, we'll see. I think they can beat UConn. They only play Ohio State and USC and Penn State too. But again, you're asking them to win 5 games. I think they can do that with Malik Washington, assuming that he takes a step forward.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite over-unders for I think all college football. Is the over here. They were 4-8 last year. They won the first 4 games of the year and then kind of struggled down the stretch. But they have a legitimately good young quarterback in Malik Washington. Like I think he's good, and they have guys. They have a good pass rush. Like they have a good defense. Their linebackers weren't great. Their secondary wasn't good. Couldn't stop the run. They went and got in the portal, got themselves some defensive linemen to help with that. But they can rush the passer. They can rush the passer, and they're good at quarterback. And you look at their schedule, and there's a lot of winnable games here on their schedule. So I think over 4.5 is very doable for Maryland.
Yeah, right there with you guys. Like I had down Washington's good. A couple young defenders that I liked. I remember that game. They almost beat the Huskies. I mean, their 2 edges looked good. They basically have to win 2 non-conference games, beat Rutgers, Purdue, and either UCLA or Nebraska, which I think is very, very doable.
Didn't they just get? They got what is it? Zion Ely, 5-star too.
Yeah, but he's
he does.
But he's 18. Like I don't expect an 18-year-old pass rusher to have that much of an impact.
Okay, that's fair. All right, this one's fun. Michigan 8.5 over under. Kyle Whittingham kind of bringing in the new juice there. You got Bryce Underwood maybe taking a step forward. Travis, what do you think here?
Boy, this is tough. It's like I love Witt. I think he's a great fit there. I know both of us have a lot of respect for him. The schedule, it's 8.5, right?
That's what I had.
Yeah. I mean, the schedule, so Oklahoma, Indiana, at Oregon, at Ohio State. So you got to win one of those and then be clear the rest of the time. I think they can do it. I've got 9-3 for them. I think they can win one of those 4 games, especially Oklahoma at home. I'd probably favor Michigan right now. I just think the coaching upgrade from Moore to Whittingham is about as big of an upgrade as you could humanly have at any level. I think the DC they brought in from BYU is good. So I just think you take a talented team that has guys in the roster and you give them, you go from a D coaching staff to an A. I'm comfortable going 9.
So my thing with Michigan right now is like I think they're just unwagerable at the moment. Like you just don't know what you're going to get with this offense, right? Now you have an idea of what they did last year, right? If they import the Utah offense over to Michigan with a better quarterback in Bryce Underwood, are they still running the ball as much? And we saw, again, like the same issues that we've seen with Kyle Whittingham happened at Utah last year, even with a good OC, which was what? They just kind of get stuck in the pass game, right? They get stuck in the pass game. They get stuck in the pass game. And so if you get stuck in the pass game here, you're not going to win as many. I just want to see the pass game, right? I just want to see what it looks like. Also, he's doing this without Morgan Scalley on defense coordinator for the first time in 15 years, right? I just want to see what it looks like before I make any wagers on Michigan. 9-3 sounds certainly doable. Absolutely sounds doable. but they still have to play Oklahoma, who's going to be good again. They got Iowa, both games at home, absolutely. They go to Oregon late in the year, go to Ohio State. I mean, got Indiana, got Penn State. I mean, it's not an easy schedule. So I would lean toward just staying away at the moment. 9 wins, 8 wins would surprise me. So I think the number's about perfect.
Yeah, I think it is a good number. I've got under. I do think it's an improved coaching staff. I'm excited to see what Bryce Underwood looks like in his second year. I think he's going to be a good player. And you mentioned those games, the Penn State, Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State, Oklahoma. I do think they're going to be good enough and well coached enough to win 1 or maybe 2 of those games. But it's still the new team, the new roster with the new coaching staff. I think they might drop one to Iowa, one of the ones that you don't expect, maybe to Penn State or something. Even, I don't know. We'll talk about UCLA. I kind of like UCLA this year too. But I don't know. Just being safe, I think I lean under. But I definitely would not be surprised if it goes over.
I think Jeff's point is the right one when it comes down to the passing offense, because when you look at the defenses they're facing, Oklahoma's going to have one of the best defenses in the country. Oregon's going to have one of the best defenses in the country. Ohio State, Iowa, Indiana. Those are 5 teams that are typical, that will probably be top 15, top 20 defenses. So, if they can't move the ball and they're one-dimensional, then I'm probably a big under.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Michigan State, new coaching staff, 3.5 is the over/under.
Yeah, I go under. I don't think that Fitzgerald's a good coach. I don't know what did he have one good year with the COVID year? He's not why is he considered this outstanding? He never really won it. Am I wrong? I feel like I'm wrong on this.
And didn't he get fired for cause?
Well, yeah, but he won that lawsuit. That ended up being.
Oh,
BS.
did he win the lawsuit? I didn't see that.
So
okay.
that ended up being BS. But I don't know. I'm gonna pull up the records. I think the COVID year was his best year, which the COVID year doesn't even count. That's not. Yeah. They were 7-2 in the COVID year. That doesn't even count. 3-9, 1-11, 8-5, 4-8. Excuse me. That's broad. I'm sorry. So, COVID year was 7-2. Okay. Otherwise, he was 3-9, 3-9. He had 2 good years, 9-5 and 10-3. 10. His 10-win seasons, guys, are 10 years ago. I don't know. And
this roster isn't good.
I don't buy it quite. And this is back, I think, too, when they played they were in the easier division, right? In that leaders and legends thing they used to do. So they weren't playing they were on the other side. So they're playing the easier side of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really just comes down. I think there's people who think Northwestern is an unwinnable program. The fact that he won 8 games a couple times, it makes him a crazy good coach. But you've seen even from Braun, and even last year, I thought Northwestern was competitive all last year. So I think that notion's kind of out the door a little bit. I had them at 4, so technically an over. They have 2 non-conference games that are automatics, and so I looked at the rest of the schedule. They need to win 2 games between Northwestern, Rutgers, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Illinois. I think they can probably do that if they're just a hair improved. So there's just this bottom quartet of teams is just who the heck knows what's going to happen. But slight over 4.
Is Aiden Childs there, or did he go to Northwestern?
He's at Northwestern.
He's at Northwestern, so they got a new quarterback. Yeah, you look at their non-conference, they should be able to win those 2. But then finding 2 other wins, Michigan State versus Rutgers. I don't know. I'd be lying if I said I had any idea who was going to win that game, or them against, someone like Northwestern, Wisconsin. I think I lean under just because I would be less shocked if it goes under than if it goes over.
Yeah.
All right, Minnesota, 5.5. Jeff?
I had over.
Or Travis, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, good. I just said I had over. I feel like they're just always 7-5 or 6-6. I actually think besides Parrish, they actually brought back their best players. I think Drake Lindsey is fine, probably a little bit above average quarterback. their running back, Darius Taylor's good. They have that edge. I think his last name's Smith. I don't know what his first name is, who's a pretty good player. I think he was one of the best edges in the Big Ten last year. I don't know. I feel like PJ finds a way to win like the 50-50 games against these other 5-7, 6-6 teams and ekes out a way to get to 6-6. So I don't know. I see him as a bowl team.
So they get Michigan early at home, which is good probably. They have Iowa, Indiana. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably lean over. I think to your point, like they're sort of Lindsey's back, and they're sort of just the same team like every year, which I think is sort of what you bank on here, right? Is that you sort of get the same sort of team every single season, and that's a bowl team every year, right? I think this is the way to play Minnesota.
Yeah, I agree. I can find 5 for sure wins on their schedule, and then you kind of just trust them to find that 6th somewhere. Like they're non-conference. I think they've got Purdue. You should have Northwestern. You should have Wisconsin. You should probably have UCLA. We'll see. Iowa. We'll see. But like they are that team that kind of sticks around in those games. So I think we'll all go over there. Let's move on to Nebraska and Matt Rule. 6.5 is the number that I have. Is that what you guys had too?
Yeah, they have
started at 5.5, but now,
yeah.
Okay, Jeff, what do you got?
Oh man, I think he's a good coach, but their roster sort of took a hit, right? New quarterback. Is it the Boston College transfer? Is that who ended up going there?
The UNLV, Calandria.
UNLV. That's what it was. I didn't like their offensive line much. They replaced a bunch of linemen. Jeez. I would probably just I would just go most likely under here, I would think, just based off of where they're at as a program. I think Rule probably gets fired if he goes under, though, too. Like that's probably not a spot you want to be in. But schedules Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State, Iowa, Washington. I mean, you're playing 7 of the 8 top teams, right? So, or excuse me, 5 of the 8 top teams. At Illinois as well, I would probably go under, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was under I had the 5.5 number, and I was under. I just don't think it's pretty. I mean, Rule. They clearly spent some money when Rule came there, and they were recruiting all right, bringing some portal guys. They don't just have guys of note on their roster anymore. I mean, their whole offense last year was Emmett Johnson. He's gone. Rayola's gone. Their best receiver's gone. The idea that Nebraska has beyond like average talent is just not true. And I just think when you're an average team with an average quarterback who seems to never be able to win a one-possession game, I don't have any reason to believe you're going to go over. So I actually had them 5.
Yeah. No,
sure.
I've got the same. I see 5 wins on the schedule, and I think that's being generous, like thinking that, giving them a little bit of respect that they can win some of these games. But I could, if we see a world where they lose to Rutgers, like, I'm not surprised. If they lose to Michigan State, I believe it. So, yeah, I think we will all go slightly under there. This one is fun. Northwestern at 5.5. They've got a new coaching staff, new offensive coordinator, new quarterback. What do you guys think, Jeff?
And they were a little feisty last year, right? Against sort of teams that you could probably compete with. They ran the ball decently well. I think Childs is very talented. Look at their schedule. Oh, it's a rough schedule, though. We got Indiana, Penn State, Oregon, Iowa, Ohio State. Oof.
Well, and no bye. Like, their bye is in week 2, and then they play the rest of the season straight. Like, that's brutal.
They're still playing at the Temp Stadium one more year?
I think.
Oh, no, they're not. They're back at Ryan Field.
Isn't it for the first half of the season, though?
It looks like the first 2 games.
Stadium?
First 2 games, and they're back. They play Penn State at Ryan Field. First game. Okay. That looks like a really nice field. I would be tempted to. You said 5.5, right?
Yeah.
I would probably think 6-6 is doable for them. I like the coaching staff.
Yeah, I can see 6.
Yeah, I had them there too. I mean, they just basically had to win 3 conference games. I feel like Childs is probably a pretty good fit for Chip. I mean, he can probably.
I forgot Chip is there. That's so funny.
Use his legs well. I mean, he's a good runner, so I'm sure Chip can do some zone read stuff that can, win some of those 50-50 games. I don't know. I thought they were good. I mean, I thought they were totally solid last year. I mean, they went to SC and were competitive. They were competitive against that Michigan. They should have beat Michigan. So, I don't know. I think they can win 6, even 7.
To me, it's can you beat Minnesota or Illinois? Like, I think I'm at 5 before that, and then if you win one of those games, you get to 6. Win both, maybe get to 7. But yeah, I think I lean towards the over. I just, I respect. I think that Childs is a talented player. I thought that Jonathan Smith didn't really do him any favors at Michigan State, but I think with the right coaching staff, they can bring some stuff out of him. So I'm excited to see what he can do this year. So yeah, I'll go over with them. This is one of the most talked about over-unders of the year. Ohio State only at 9.5. Projecting Ohio State under 10 seems interesting, but I know that they lost a lot on defense. So Travis, let's start with you. Where do you have on Ohio State 9.5?
I mean, I'm over, but I get the number. What are they? At Texas, they're at SC, they're at Indiana, then they host Michigan and Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that you see what the number is. I think there's a world of. I think what people are seeing is like basically Texas from last year, where they're like, okay, you lose a competitive opener to a top 5 team, and then you drop a couple close conference games. I mean, they did no favors with the schedule. It's hard for me to predict Ohio State's going to win 9 games when they haven't done that in 10 years.
Okay, so basically what you're saying to us is that Texas, let's say Texas, Indiana, USC, Oregon, Michigan, those 5 games, all right? They go 3-2 in those 5 games. They go over, right?
Yep.
It feels doable. You throw Iowa in there, I guess, 4-2 in those games. I mean, look, they will probably be a couple point favorite against Oregon at home and against Michigan, presumably. I would imagine, 1 or 2 points, not like a crazy outcome there. At USC is probably a pick 'em. At Indiana's probably they're a 3-point dog. I mean, I would say over. I think 10-2 that makes sense to go 4-2 in those 6 games.
Are they a pick 'em at SC, Jeff?
I would. Well, I guess what happens with USC. I think it's if you say it's 7 points still in college football for home field advantage. Maybe they're 3-point favorites.
I mean, that place is going to be 50% Ohio State fans,
and they're off a bye too. I would guess.
Is that October? Or is that November?
It's right before Oregon. They go to USC Halloween, and then they come back and host
That's
Oregon.
what it is. Okay. So it's October USC, so they haven't completely lost hope yet.
I wonder if
so. It'll be interesting.
I mean, you know what? I'm going to ask some people what they think that number would be, and we can keep talking. I'll get back. I'll get back.
I just think
Text Bear.
I know that they lost so many people on defense, and they're going to have a dozen first-round draft picks this year. Like, that makes sense. But they also do have one of the better quarterbacks in the nation next year, the best wide receiver in the nation next year, a really good running back, a very solid offense, and it's still Ohio State's defense.
We might actually have look ahead lines for some of the big games. I'm going to look that up because I think sometimes they put
there
up
are for a few. I don't know if I've seen the Ohio State USC one though. I think it's mostly just major rivalries so far. Last I checked, but I'm going over. I just think that Ohio State at this point is tried and true double-digit wins. I just kind of trust them to win those big games. And between Texas, Indiana, and Oregon, I think you got to win at least one of them. And I think they can do that.
Yep.
All right. Wow, another big hitter. This one will be interesting. Oregon, 10.5. Travis?
Over. I mean,
okay.
You can say homer, but I mean, it's a 2.5 game season, right? I know there's people who are drumming up storylines for Oklahoma State. I know there's people drumming up storylines for some of these other, at Illinois. I just think the talent advantage is going to be massive in those games. So for me, it comes down to at Ohio State, Michigan, and at USC. So I think they can go 3-1, 2-1.
I think so too. Go ahead.
That's basically the question, right? Is what do you do in those games? Here's the deal, guys. Dan Lann's been there 4 years. In the last 3 years, he's yet to lose a game where he shouldn't have lost, right? They've lost 6 games, I think it is, right? and all 6 have been the teams that played in the championship game or won the championship. Those are 6 games we've lost, right? It was 2
And
Washington. It was right. Yeah, I mean that's the last game we lost. We shouldn't have lost, right? It was that game,
yeah.
Right? And I just don't know why this team all of a sudden would like lose a game they shouldn't drop. So that to your point, that goes down to USC and Ohio State and maybe Michigan or Washington, both games at home. If you just look at the 2 road games at USC and Ohio State, you split those, you probably feel pretty good about beating Michigan and Washington. Like why would the Washington game change at all from last season? Like Oregon's played well against Utah the last couple of times they played with Kyle Whittingham, right? Like why would that change now with Michigan? Bresson was really good, don't get me wrong. So I like when we're under the radar, but I also appreciate they're going for it this year, and it feels like they're just not going to lose a game they shouldn't lose. Like it's that simple. Oh wow, Bear thinks it would be 10. Ohio State favored by 10. Wow.
That's funny.
Crazy.
Interesting.
That's
on Oregon.
I mean, big number. Wow.
You said it, Jeff. They're going for it this year. Like we've always known that 2026 was going to be the year. Like I don't agree with anyone saying like it is a tough schedule. You've got some tough games, tough road games, USC and Ohio State.
Whatever. Every year's a tough schedule. That's dumb.
That's fair. But even the non-conference easy games. I mean, Boise State. Yes, I think they'll win against Boise State and Oklahoma State, but those aren't just like blowout Portland State games. Those are at least they garner some attention. But I've got over as well. I think that it's if not this year, win. Like we've seen enough from this team, this coaching staff that they win in these games. They show up in these games they're supposed to win in the regular season. So I think we've all got over there. Feel pretty confident about it too. Another interesting one. Penn State 9.5 is the over/under. That's a really interesting line with the new coaching staff. I think it's a little high, honestly.
I mean,
it's all schedule, right, Jeff?
Yeah, schedule. Yeah, that's what it is.
I mean, I have to imagine that was literally like half their selling point when they were trying to hire a new coach was you're going to have free access to 9 wins your first year and maybe even 10. Do they miss all the top 3?
Miss Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Play SC at home, Michigan on the road.
The only game, so they'll be underdog at Michigan presumably, and then how good Washington is, we don't know, but like otherwise they're big favorites against everyone else. They don't leave Pennsylvania till October.
Wow, yeah, I didn't realize that.
Where
is Temple?
They play at Philly.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be a home game for them.
I just don't. The sticking point for me is they've basically imported the Iowa State roster.
Correct.
And then they have some carryover from Penn State, but most of their best guys went to the NFL or just straight up left or went to Virginia Tech. So like Iowa State wasn't good last year. I mean, I think they were 6-6. So I mean, Rocco Beck's fine, but I think some of the continuity conversation around like, rules, or I mean, Campbell's bringing his roster and blah blah blah. It's like, was it that good of one in the first place?
That's fair.
I've got under. I can see like 8 clear wins. Then you've got tough games against USC, Michigan, Washington. I could see a world where they lose to Northwestern. If Northwestern is like last year's September Maryland, and they come out firing. I don't know. I don't completely trust it yet. Like Travis was saying, this is basically Iowa State running this schedule. Like, will they win that many games? I don't know. So I'm going under until I'm proven otherwise. Yep. These next few we can kind of go over quickly. Purdue 3.5 over under. Travis?
Under. No reason given.
I took the over last year, over 3.5 at like plus 200. I came very close. But
very close.
They won 3 games.
Won 3.
Yeah, and they were up like late in the game that they blew. I'd go over because I think they have a good coach, but I don't really know much else about them at the moment. I haven't deep dived into Purdue yet.
Yeah, I kind of went over too, just because of Barry Odom. Like, I think that he might eventually get that figured out over there, but if not this year, then maybe not. So let's move on to Rutgers. 4.5 was the over-under. Travis?
They've got a good receiver and a good running back, but I have no clue who their quarterback's going to be. So when I don't trust your quarterback in your Rutgers, I typically go under.
Yeah, I was under as well.
I mean, it does feel like Shiano sort of lost his touch there, right? Like the defense last year was just, that was his calling card, like toughness, physicality, just in a really, really. Now I know they portaled in like 7 defensive starters, but that defense was so embarrassing last season that I think if anything other than under, you're kind of out of your mind.
Yep, I'm right there with you. All right, this one I think is fun. We've got 4 more. This one's fun to close it out. UCLA, 5.5 over under. They've got a new coaching staff. Bob Chesney coming in from JMU. He got Nico Yamaleava in his, I think final year, last year of eligibility. Some talent on that roster. I'm higher on UCLA than I am on on other teams. I've got an over. I think that they're, I'm not saying they're going to win 8 or 9 games. I think they're a bowl team, though. I think that Bob Chesney's a really good coach. I like Nico. I like the talent that he has around him on that roster. I think that this coaching upgrade was big enough to improve them. I think they're a bowl team. I'm going over.
So it's probably a blind spot of mine, but when I see a team, I'm looking right now at their depth chart that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 guys slotted right now are returning, and the rest of the 2 deep, the starting lineup is all transfer portal guys. I just sort of like blindly look at an under in that situation. I'm like, that's just so many. But then you look at Indiana and it makes you feel stupid for taking under for a team that has a bunch of portal guys. But I think eventually they're going to be really, really good with Chesney there. I just don't know if it's this season. They have a pretty cushy schedule to start. They weirdly play Nevada like end of October. I don't know why. That's a weird time to play a non-conference game. They don't play a ton of heavy hitters in the conference. I mean, I think the coaching staff is good enough to get them over 5.5 wins, but it's a lot of new roster players.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, Zach, at 6-6. I like Chesney. I think he's got some like very mini Signetti in him, just in terms of what he can do with the roster, and I think there's some talent there that he's inheriting. I know he's bringing over some JMU guys, so same with you. I think similar to that conversation earlier, I think going from Foster to Chesney is pretty wide gap there, so I think they can get to 6.
All right, USC 8.5 over under. Travis, I'm just going to start with you.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier, so I know the conversation all comes down to Mayava. What I don't understand is his numbers were good last year with Lemon and Lane. Mm-hmm. And as we saw against Oregon, I mean, I don't know how much of that was great QB play. I mean, a lot of that was I'm going to heave a ball up to Jacoby Lane, or I'm going to hit Mekhi Lemon in space and let those guys do what they do. I mean, they're both going to be top 2-round NFL guys. Lemon's going to go high. So I've just never seen Mayava without those two. And so I have no reason to believe he's some amazing quarterback. I don't know who they're returning at receiver. That scares me. Their running backs were solid. Their O-line gets a lot of discussion out there for being some amazing O-line. I mean, it didn't look amazing in the real games that they played. And then on defense, they lose like their 2 best players. They lose their defensive coordinator. Gary Patterson, I mean, that's going to be interesting. I'm certainly intrigued by it. I don't know how it's going to look. I mean, we've seen the minute they hired Gary Patterson, I was like, it reminded me of when they hired Monty Kiffin. And it was like, oh, cool, Monty Kiffin. And it was like, yeah, that guy was good 15 years ago. So I don't know. I don't have any reason, bias aside, to believe that they're going to take some jump when they lost their best player. So I had under.
So the Gary Patterson thing is really interesting because you're exactly right. It's like, give me the last year TCU's defense was good. Oh, 10 years ago. Oh, okay. Like, all right. I mean, does that matter now? How does that matter now? I mean, you had Danton Lynn, who we agree is a good defensive coordinator. How'd that help you last year? Who are your playmakers? Who are the guys on defense? Like, who are the dudes? Right now, there's really nobody, right? Give me your offensive guys. Now, your offensive line returns, I think, all 5 starters. When healthy, they're going to be probably much better. But, give me who you're right now. Hines had a big game against us, right? I think he was the guy with the big game.
Yeah.
But you lose your play. I don't know. I just think they're still going to be soft as usual. And they have a decently tough schedule where they have Oregon and Washington. They have to go to Penn. They can't win road games, right? They go to Penn State. They have to go to Wisconsin. They have to play Ohio State. They go to Indiana. It just feels like a tough schedule, man. It really does. They rarely get like back-to-back. They have 2 byes because I think they play week 0. So, but otherwise, I don't know. Same as usual with them. I think they're around 8 or 9 wins.
Yeah, I go 9 wins. I hear everything you guys are saying, but to me, it's between Oregon, Washington, Penn State, Ohio State, and Indiana. Can you go 2 and 3 in those games? Like, that's what they need, because I think they've got wins everywhere else on the schedule. I think they can go 2 and 3 in those games. I think they can beat Washington. I think you can beat Penn State. I think you lose to Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana, and that gets them at 9 and 3. So, I mean, that's a very slight over. Of course, do you see them potentially losing to Wisconsin or one of those road games? Maybe. But I don't know. I think I've got 9 and 3 for now, but I don't feel very confident about it. Let's keep the rivalry going. Washington 7.5 is the over/under.
I just love how upset this made their fans.
It's kind of a reality check.
It was 7.5. The schedule's not bad though. That's a benefit for that. They don't really have to travel very far this year, which has been a problem of theirs, right? Right. The farthest they go is Michigan State. It looks like they go to Nebraska, go to Purdue. They get Iowa at home. They get Penn State at home. They get Indiana at home. They got to go to Oregon, of course. I mean, I would imagine 8 and 4 is pretty reasonable for them, even as much as I hate that feels about right. But again, sort of like the same thing. Like, who are the playmakers on offense right now? DeMond Williams, who is not good against anyone with a pulse. Like, right now, Lamar is their starting running back, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
One of them, yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I don't love their skill guys at the moment. Defensively, they seem to live a lot on like forcing turnovers and stuff that's not sustainable. But 8 and 4 with their schedule is probably about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same conversation with USC. I mean, there's all this hype on returning starters and returning stuff. It's like, yeah, who are these guys you're returning? They're so amazing. I mean, they lost their 2 best running backs, their best receiver, their best offensive lineman, their 2 best defenders, which are both DBs. I just don't, like, who am I? If you're Oregon or Indiana or Ohio State, who are you taking from that roster? Like, literally nobody. Yeah. I mean, there's not like your A-list guy anywhere on that roster. So what that means is they're going to continue, because DeMond's a good athlete. Like, they'll carve up your Purdue's of the world, and they'll carve up your, undermanned teams that just can't hang with his athleticism, and then they'll post their Heisman clips and their Heisman campaign at the start of October. But then it's just real defenses that can keep him on the pocket. Like, what's he doing?
So I think there's a little bit of a disconnect with what DeMond Williams wants from the offense and what Jed Fish wants from the offense. That's sort of hampering some of this. DeMond Williams wants to play in a pro-style offense, and Jed wants to just use his talents in the best way possible, which is not a pro-style offense. And there's a lot of butting heads. That's why I wanted to leave, I think. It was one of the reasons why. It's why they went the coordinator hire they went with on offense. So if you have that strife between your quarterback and coach on just general plane of the offense, doesn't feel great, right? Because DeMond Williams is not a pro-style quarterback. He needs to play in an offense that fits him better, and refusal to do that, that's why they lose against the better teams.
To me, it comes down to, can they beat Iowa? Because I think they're at 7 wins before that. Like, I see 7 wins on the schedule. If you beat Iowa, that's 8. But, I mean, I don't see them beating Oregon, Indiana, USC. I don't even see them beating Penn State. So we'll see. But I think that's a pretty good set over-under. Let's finish it out with Wisconsin, 6.5.
So I like their over. I don't feel great about it, but their schedule is the easiest in the entire conference.
Yep.
They get, at the top of my head, I'll pull up right here. They get no Oregon, no Ohio State, no Michigan, no Indiana, no Washington.
Correct.
Crazy.
They go to Iowa, they go to Penn State, but they get Penn State early in the season. So what's Penn State going to be in week 3? I don't know. I mean, it's a very easy schedule, man. So easy.
Agreed.
Yeah, their defense played well down the stretch last year. I mean, they were competitive the second half of the season, obviously beating Washington and beating Illinois. I mean, for me, it just comes down to their quarterback. I mean, are they going to finally have a guy there who's competent? I mean, they've gone to the portal every year, and I think they've lost that guy. Is it like the first game they've lost the guy every year? I think I saw that stat. First game or second game, they've lost their starter.
I believe it.
So I know they brought, I think, Joseph from Old Dominion, who like put up a bunch of FCS numbers. But you've seen these guys, translate at different levels. I mean, you've seen guys like Gronowski, who were the FCS Heisman, and then we saw what he looked like. And you've seen other guys who make the jump and been successful. So I think they'll be competitive. They'll have a good defense. They'll be in games. I think the quarterback will ultimately dictate kind of where they end up.
And they showed a lot of confidence in Luke Fickell and brought him back and said, "Hey, we're all in on this." So.
Like, what? Why would you get rid of him? We're at the point now. There's not a lot of coaches, man. Like, give him the resources and let him. And I like the decision to keep him though. Like that.
I agree.
I think that was the right decision.
I agree. All right, let's wrap it up there. I'm being told I have a hard out in 2 minutes, so I need to wrap it up. Jeff, is there anything we can look for to find you on?
No, I just want to know, do we have like one spring football update? Like, do we have anything cool to share? I feel like this, like, my one big gripe with spring ball around the country is I think spring ball should be open to the media. I think it's the time to like sell hope for your program.
Why
not? The
not?
portal's now closed. No one can go in the portal, so you don't have to worry about competition news. I think they should have it open to the public. I've said this for years now. I've been on the radio for 7 years talking about this. I think spring ball should be open to the public.
Completely agree.
Give me some spring ball news. Like,
with
give me something, man. Let me see the guys. Give me some practice film. Give me some something. Come on.
Right there with you. All right, Travis. Anything else to add before we get out of here?
Nope, all good.
All right. We'll be back on next week to talk more spring football. Until then, check us out on YouTube, find the Ducks Rising Podcast on Apple or Spotify, and if you'd be so kind, leave a rating and a review. Most importantly, go over to Lockerverse and check out Ducks Rising. Subscribe now and support the program. Let's rise together. We'll talk to you guys next week.